What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and you know we got a beer of the week every single week. I am one of your two hosts, Matt. Alongside me, as always, is the brains of the operation, Lauren. And this week, we are going to be talking about the 1979 film Alien, because we are continuing Halloween month. It is awesome. Lauren finally watched it after me bullying her into it. So we're going to discuss that movie. First things first, though, if this is your first time on the show, we talk about what we're drinking, what we've been reading or watching. If we have anything to mess up on and correct from the week before, we got some of that action for you. We dive into the news. And then, of course, we go into our main topic. So, of course, as always, go ahead, find us, Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, any social media platform. That's where you can find us. Drop a review, subscribe, share with a friend, share with your dog, make your dog listen to it while you're at work all day. I don't care how you do it. Help the podcast grow. This weekend, next episode, you're going to be hearing me talk about HorrorCon out there in Nightmare Richmond. Going to be a lot of fun. I got press passes coming up for that. Can't wait to share that. Go to our YouTube. Lauren was just at Spookala last week. She's got some good things for you. And then, of course, the beer of the week. Lauren, what is our beer of the week?
This is one you sent me from 14 Cannons called Wreck Yo Ship. It is a triple IPA with massive tropical aroma, triple dry hop with Citra, Laurel, and Matuka at 10.5%. Oh, shit.
Yeah, buddy. It's a limited 2023 release.
We picked this one because this alien is about to wreck Yo's spaceship.
It is. It's very true.
And I have it in my Woodland Empire glass. I know it's just a skull, but it could be like an alien skull.
It's a little, I have an Idaho glass tonight, too. Look at us.
What? See, you're not in Idaho. You can take the boy out of Idaho, but you can't take our beer glasses away.
I have a fond appreciation for the place. It's kind of fun.
Well, it was home for a while.
It was. 4 years of my life was spent there, man. And Rob and Keely, shout out to them. I know they've moved on, but man, some of the best people I have ever met in my life, of course.
Miss their ADA County Stout.
I still have it in my fridge. I can't
such
drink
a good
it
beer.
yet. I think I might have to wait till we're in person next and split the last can half and half.
Oh, we should drink it live. We should do our first live together podcast outside of the Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. That's the only time we've ever recorded together live.
That's true.
Or together in person.
This beer, by the way, is from Westlake Village, California. I went there in June. Actually, I went to this brewery the morning of Charlie and Stephanie's wedding. Charlie's been on the show a bunch of times, and it's the vibe, the ambiance, amazing in there. It's a small brewery. Their beers were all freaking amazing. I begun the long day of drinking there. So if you ever happen to be in the Los Angeles area, scoot on over, get yourself a beer or two from there. Other than that, let's dive into what we've been reading or watching this week. I started one of my Nerd Initiative reviews of this week for nerdinitiative.com. You can check that out every Wednesday, sometimes Tuesdays, depending if it's DC or not. And I read A Haunted Girl from Image Comics, writer Ethan Sachs and Naomi Sachs. Art is by Marco Lorenzana, colors by Andres Massa, letters Jamie Martinez. It's basically a love letter, I felt like, to old school Japanese horror, where it begins this girl. Something happens when she was a kid, kicked to her in a mental institution. She starts to see some ghosts and things. And then at the end of the comic book, her dad's on the phone talking to somebody in Japan. And they're like, the fate of the world rests on your daughter's shoulders. So
sounds like an episode of Supernatural.
Honestly, yeah, it does. Call the Winchesters. But this is a great comic from Image. And then I've read Capwolf and the Howling Commandos from Marvel Comics. Writer Stephanie Phillips, artist Carlos Magno, color artist Espen Gruntingern. You know what? I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. And then this book is basically what happens. Captain America gets scratched by a werewolf. What happens? This takes place in World War II. And it was kind of a refreshing take, I felt like, on Captain America, because he's with the Howling Commandos. And they don't necessarily believe in Cap at this time. They're like, he's all juiced up. Like, he's going to get us killed. They don't.
But like, they make a comment. They're like, he goes, you have to do what I say. They're like, you say to sell bonds.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
It was actually kind of refreshing not to see everybody blindly follow Cap, because they don't have powers. And they're like, hey, he's going to get us killed. And
yeah. I was getting the boys feels like Soldier Boy. Like, that's exactly like they were acting like fools. And like, what are we supposed to follow these soups into battle? We're going to get ourselves killed. They're going to get us killed. So I felt a lot of that in it.
I definitely did too. It was great. And they take on some werewolves. Again, it's kind of Halloween time. I also
gotta love the artwork too. For anybody on the
great. Yeah.
The YouTube.
Oh, man. There's some really great sequences. And then the final sequence is obviously Captain America as
Dun,
a
dun,
werewolf.
dun.
And man, it's
But what
it's
does that mean?
beautifully well done. And it is. What does it mean?
It's Cap. Will he be able to
Become a good guy and overcome?
overcome
Man.
his lycanthrope?
If this is like a story of Cap like silently hunting the Howling Commandos, that's freaking crazy. Because I don't know anything beyond this, but I'm invested already.
Well, I mean, I was reading the Winter Soldier. I think it was Captain America and Winter Soldier with Falcon as Captain America, and he got turned into Capwolf. But he was just funny, and like Misty Knight was making fun of him and teasing him and stuff. So this one, it's like it looked Steve was fighting the urge to be a werewolf right away because they were like, he's like, run away.
You're gonna have to kill me.
Right. That's what it was. You have to kill me. So I'm excited. And they're like, shit, dude, you're Captain America. How are we going to kill you? And now you have werewolf pumping through your veins too. But I do wonder when the, sun rises, will he become Steve again? Like what kind of werewolf
I imagine he would. Yeah.
Ooh, like there's so much different lore with werewolves. So what are they going to follow? How are they going to handle this? So I'm excited to read the second one.
Oh, 100%. I also read Night of the Living Dead Kin, which came out from American Mythology Productions. Writers S.R. Check and James Kukerkerick. Man, I am terrible.
We need to put a disclaimer at the beginning.
Matt, we will most shit.
If a guest comes on, we ask them beforehand so we don't butcher their name. But if the guest does not come on, chances are we're going to butcher their names.
Sorry. But
we both have very basic names nobody can butcher.
Thank God. Well, you'd be surprised. I always get called Matt Ross. I'm like, no.
I've gotten Friedman with the D.
Friedman.
But I'm free man.
Yeah, no, but this is fun. It's I love Night of the Living Dead. It's my favorite zombie film, of course, by George Romero, and it's just about a little girl. Her uncle dies, and then she goes out to the woods to prove herself she can hunt because her brothers say that she's a woman, she shouldn't be doing that, and then zombies come back to life. And
man's work.
Right there. And honestly, on the back, there's a comic book that they promote that I think we should do for Christmas time. It's called Silent Night, Deadly Night, Killer Santa. And the tagline is every serial killer has a role model. And this is, this is a comic we're going to have to talk about Christmas time right here.
I like that because I'm like instantly thought of like Dexter and how when he first met the Trinity Killer, he was like looking up to him like a role model. And there was another one that he went to actually kill, the Tooth Fairy. That was another role model that he saw as a kid. Okay, yeah. No, I'm down for that. We should do like a whole segment on Christmas comic books. We got to have Steve Urena on again, maybe.
Yeah,
or at least just talk. I love his Christmas comic.
Oh, yeah.
I have to reread that this Christmas.
Obviously, I read Batman City of Madness, which we are going to talk about in a second, but I want to talk about some movies I watched. So I did indeed see Exorcist Believer. Now, apparently this is supposed to be a trilogy.
And you were the only one in the theater.
I was legit the
opening weekend
in the theater, opening weekend at my Regal. I sat down.
They're probably like, why did this guy show up? Now we have to play this fucking movie.
I'll be honest with you folks. It's not a good movie at all. Believe everything. There's a reason why it's coming to digital October 24th already, which is absolutely unheard of. 2 weeks after release. It is there's no tension built up. There's nothing. It's basically so the guy who did this also did the Halloween movies recently. And if you know Halloween, Evil Dies Tonight. No joke. There is a sequence in the movie. Spoiler alert, I guess. If you don't really care, then stick for 2 seconds because there's a sequence in the movie where they're all getting the gang together. They got this voodoo lady going to do the exorcism. They got this nun, or no, she wasn't even a nun. She was going to become a nun. She had an abortion and all this stuff when she was going to become a nun. And then she didn't. She became a nurse. You have the dad who doesn't believe. You have the Christian parents.
Wait, what? She was a nun and had an abortion?
No, so she was going to become a nun. She found out she was pregnant. She had an abortion and everything, and then she didn't become a nun for some reason or another.
Maybe because she did that. She had the sex.
And it's like an Avengers Assemble kind of thing, but also like none of them knew how to do an exorcism. The priest in there that they were like, can do the exorcism. He was there for 2 seconds before he got his neck snapped. And it felt very much like an Evil Dies Tonight sequence before Michael Myers kills everybody. It was a very poor done movie.
Guys, Latin is not a dead language. You need to learn Latin.
Yeah, it was a just terrible, terrible movie. Jesus Christ. Like I could not take, there was a really strong story in there too, which is crazy because it's about the two little girls. They go to the woods. They get dragged to hell for 3 days. That's a good premise right there. That's dark. That is
That
deep.
is pretty dark.
The one girl, Angela, wanted to talk to her mom. Her mom died in the Haiti earthquakes. And so
And was her mom in hell?
No, she was trying to contact her mom. But
Okay, I thought she was like
conjuring a demon, and they get drugged to hell for 3. You don't see them in hell, but they get drugged to hell for 3 days. That's a really good premise. Everything after that, you can pinpoint like the exact moment that it takes a left turn is when that lady comes to the porch and is like, I was going to become a nun. I got pregnant. I got rid of the baby and blah, blah, blah. And from that point on, you're just like, what am I fucking watching right now? Holy shit. Not even the Winchesters could save this abomination. Jesus Christ. Like, there was nothing scary. There was nothing new. They bring back the mom from the original Exorcist for reasons like good for her. She got the bag and got her scholarship paid for her acting students, but Jesus Christ. And Linda Blair shows up at the end. So she was in this movie.
I saw that you had said that. That's fun.
I think they're setting
kind of sad
like the
too, though.
demon. I think the demon's going to be coming after her is like the whole premise of the next ones, which please just move on. This isn't Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers. Just stop, please. Anyways,
right.
I'm off the soapbox. I watched Zombie Town, which is an R.L. Stine movie that released. It's a very kid-friendly zombie film. It's got Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, and basically Dan Aykroyd is a film director. It just came out brand new.
Oh,
yeah.
Like Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase.
Dan Aykroyd is a big time. There's a town named after him because he's this big time movie director. And he basically created the zombie universe, which if he went and gave this reel to this theater to play his new zombie movie, then he was like, no, I can't do it. He accidentally gets knocked out. They play it, turn the town into zombies, which is kind of a cool premise because it's a kid friendly thing. So instead of biting people, they like open their eyes glow and they like suck the soul and turn them into zombies or something. But it was all right.
Interesting.
Except for my big complaint with that movie is the two main characters. Honestly, forget their names. One boy, one girl. The kid, the dude, he was a great actor. However, they had zero chemistry, and we were meant to believe at the end that they had a thing for each other, which on his end was very clear. But she treated him like shit the entire time. She wanted to blow him off for a party, showed zero interest. And at one point, he was like, I love you. And she was all, I've been waiting for you to say that. And I was like, no, the fuck you weren't. You hate this man. You had nothing
just
to
playing
do with
hard to
this.
get.
I was like, no, bullshit. You should have left her ass for dead. But anyways, it was a good, decent movie. Fun little kid flick to watch. And then I watched Totally Killer, which has Tiernan Sherpka. And then she played Sabrina in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix.
Oh, she's in Mad Men.
She's really
Don Draper's daughter.
Fun. It's like a time travel slasher movie, which I didn't know that going in. It's on Prime. And man, it was good. Like it's about this, her mom gets killed and then she goes back in time to stop the killers because the killers were around in the 80s and like they had come back and ended up killing her mom to finish the job.
Oh, I think I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah, it's good. It's campy. It's fun. She's
like partying or something and then they're like,
yeah.
Okay.
That
actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
What was that one called again?
It was called Totally Killer. It's on Amazon Prime. Definitely.
Renfeld's on Amazon Prime too now.
It is. Renfeld's a good movie, man. Nicolas Cage can't go wrong. Nicholas Hoult cannot go wrong. And then the last movie I watched was Talk to Me, the A24 film, which is honestly the best horror movie of 2023, hands down. If you don't know the premise, it's in Australia. These group of friends, there's like this hand thing that you grab hold of it. You say, talk to me. You see a spirit. And then you say, I let you in. And don't go over 90 seconds because then the spirits are going to stay. Well, of course, shit happens. And it was pretty freaky, suspenseful. It was a really well done. A24 does horror movies pretty well. And this one was no exception. Definitely worth the watch. It's I think it's on digital now. I had it on my Plex account, so I don't really know. That's just how I watched it. I think you can rent it on Prime or whatever it is, but yeah.
You and Ian keep giving me recommendations of movies to watch.
Barbarian,
and I just started writing down my list. Okay. Yes, Barbarian. And one I kept getting shit for this past weekend at Spookalo is that I haven't seen Lost Boys.
I never watched that one either. Like it never really interested me, but it's got Kiefer Sutherland.
I think it's got a few people in it. So one of the people was at Spookala. And so every time it came up that I hadn't seen it, they're like, how have you not seen that? So I need to add So that one's on my list.
All right.
So I've Totally Killer, Lost Boys, Talk to Me, Barbarian, and Renfield. And I know there's more. And people keep like, you have to watch this. And I'm like, I'll add it to the list. So I literally just wrote these down. And as people give me more, I will write them down on this list. I'm a list person. It makes me feel productive to cross things off my list.
It does. Before we go into City of Madness, what have you been diving into?
So I've dove into a couple things. I'll start with the Nerd Initiative articles I wrote this week. One was I wrote the review for the second issue of The Alternates. I did do the first one as well. This is a comic written by Patton Oswalt, and it is a spinoff from the comic run Minor Threats. You do not need to read one to read the other. I'm really liking this because it's a lot of fun, because it's these group of superheroes who went to this place. This place like affected them. They had powers before, but this place like affected them in very different ways. And like the first issue was about one of the characters, and I thought she was going to be the person we were getting the point of view through every issue. Well, that's not the case. The second issue was through the point of view of another one. So I really liked that because it really gets you feeling like empathy for each of them.
Alternate point of views?
I would say that is exactly correct. Like in the first one, this girl really felt like she was an outsider among outsiders. But then, of course, reading the second one, this person feels the exact same way. So it's a lot of fun. The artwork's a lot of fun because they all have such unique abilities. It's not like, okay, this person can fly and this person can heal and this person's strong. No, like the one girl's a multi-monster and can literally just turn into like different monsters. Like she can be Swamp Thing, and then she can turn into like a vampire, and then she can turn into Dracula's daughter. And then this other guy's a huge crustacean, but he's kind of like the Deep or Aquaman, or I don't want to say Namor, because I feel like Namor, they don't like make fun of, because I feel like this guy's getting shit too, but he's such a sweet guy, but he's a giant fucking crustacean. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It's from Dark Horse Comics. It's called The Alternates. And another one that I just did the review for, I had done the first and second one. And this was, I know I've talked about it before. This is called The Hunger and the Dusk. This is by G. Willow Wilson. If that name sounds familiar, it's because she had a major hand in Miss Marvel, both the comics and the show.
You reviewing these big time comics. All right.
I'm having fun, man. Okay, so The Hunger in the Dusk is the one that they were like, hey, why don't you take this one? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, there's like orcs and elves on the cover. It doesn't look like my thing. It kind of looks like Lord of the Rings. And I have never fallen in love with characters in a comic book so freaking fast. So it really took me by surprise. I'm loving this story. I thought at the end of issue 2, oh no, here comes this specific trope. And then as soon as I started issue 3, that didn't happen. And that's such a breath of fresh air when the trope.
Doing a Lord of the Rings episode again?
Oh, no. That's not happening at all. No, I tried to watch Lord of the Rings. I gave it a chance. It's not for me. But this, I'm really loving it. It's like there's orcs and there's humans, and they've generational hate. They've been raised to hate each other, but they've had to come together, the enemy of thy enemy, to fight a bigger enemy that's attacking both of them. But there's so much more happening because these people don't specifically hate each other. They were raised to hate each other. And so it's all about, love and war and humanity, ironically, because, you're seeing the humanity in the orcs.
As ever these days. Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah, very, very sadly. But yeah, I'm loving that comic. Highly recommend it. Again, that's called The Hunger and the Dusk. And if it doesn't look like something you would enjoy, you probably will, because I thought the same thing. What is it? Don't judge a book by its cover, which is very hard to do with comics, though.
Oh, in beer, like beer art, comic art, like that's what.
Well, that's just because we're freaking whores for the beer can art. That's true. I know a beer can be good without good art, but yeah. So I read The Mist by Stephen King this weekend, and I watched it. Oh,
okay. All right. Let's hear it. Which would you like better? Which ending did you like better? Let's get this.
So it was very interesting. I'm reading Skeleton Crew, which is about a 600-page book of short stories by Stephen King, and it starts with The Mist. The Mist is only about 150 pages, so it's not a long read at all.
Short.
Yeah, it's that short. So it was written though in like the early 80s. And I'm curious to read something from Stephen King that's newer, because he's a bit misogynistic, or the character was a bit misogynistic, but I don't know that that's necessarily what he intended the character to be. And then like
the 80s, man.
Right, but the way he's like taught, the woman's being irrational in his head. Oh, I just have to calm down the woman. And like I already read one of his other short stories, and it's the same thing. It's like, well, I make $4,000 less a year, so now my wife keeps popping Valiums. Like, why doesn't she just go make some money?
Yeah, go
like,
get a job at the grocery store. Wench.
Like her kids are in school. I don't understand what's happening. That's not what would happen. You're being melodramatic. But it's it was the 80s. I did not like the ending for either one, but I will say that the movie was very similar to the book, but the endings were very different, and I didn't like either ending.
Whoa. Okay. Why?
And then what was?
Give me your reasons for each.
So the ending of the first one, he even calls himself out and calls the ending a cop out. And I felt like it was, because there was no ending. You don't know what happened. I appreciate that a Hojo got referenced at the end, because I loved Hojos as a kid. You checked in and they gave you like a little, activity kit for the kids. Clearly they didn't do well, because I don't think they're around anymore. For all you younger kids like Matt, that was the Howard Johnson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. All right.
So I didn't really like that. And then I hated the end of the second one, or of the movie. And I had heard that was the ending. And I was hoping that I had heard it wrong, but I hated it. And the little kid in the movie looked like my son.
So as a parent, it's very hard to watch. So spoiler alert.
They don't show it though.
They don't show it. However, in the movie, Thomas Jane shoots everybody in the car, to include his son. He goes to shoot himself. He's out of bullets. So he's screaming. Obviously,
the monsters to
fucked up scene. So he gets out the car, and right after that, the mist starts to clear, and the army is clearing the place out.
He just murdered his child.
He just murdered his kid. His wife's dead.
I did like that they showed that, because in the book, he assumes his wife is dead, but he never actually checks.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they really were in line. One thing I liked about the movie that they did in the book that they didn't do in the movie was, in the book, on the first night that they're locked in the store hiding from the mist, he sleeps with this other married person. And it was, again, he didn't even have any hesitation about it. Like, I thought he was about to hesitate. Bro. And I was like, no, he's not hesitating at all. He's going right for it. They did not have him sleep with her in the movie, which takes place, over 2 decades later. And I think it's because that made him unlikable, because Erica and I both read it this past weekend, and Ian had recommended it. So the three of us were, discussing it. And we had the same feeling. She's like, I felt like that too, that he was too unlikable. And what was funny, though, is Laurie Holden plays this girl in the movie. And if you don't know that name, it's Andrea from The Walking Dead.
Yes,
hate her in The Walking Dead.
And it's so much.
The Crimson Countess. That bitch got my Jensen Ackles captured by the Russians. And so she was at Spoogala, and I see her and I'm like, that bitch touched Jensen Ackles and sent him to the Russians.
You should be like, and what was it like breathing Jensen's air? How dare you stand where he stood?
And how dare you tell him you didn't want to have his babies and you hated him? But then when I started The Mist, I think I watched it Monday night, and I'm like, that bitch Laurie Holden's in it, and Erica just died laughing. She's like, and she plays Amanda. And I was like, no,
Amanda, please. Yeah, no, The Mist is a good movie. I liked The Mist. I saw it in theaters, and I didn't.
We just ruined it.
Well, I hadn't. Well, it came out in 2007, I think.
Yeah, the Punisher, the original Punisher, is the dad.
Which, to be fair, that Punisher movie, top tier. He was in. I still think he's my choice for Punisher over
John Bernthal.
I will say
Shut the fuck up.
100%. I love that Punisher movie so fucking much. It is so goddamn good. I feel like I need to
rewatch it.
And better than
Bernthal.
In my opinion, I will say it, controversial or not, man. But Thomas Jane's great. I love him in that movie. I love him as the vegan police in Scott Pilgrim. I love him in anything he is in. He is so good. And for some reason, man, John Bernthal, amazing Punisher. But
he's my Punisher.
Thomas Jane's, but no, yeah, The Mist is good. I highly recommend people to go watch and read The Mist, because I like it. And yeah, the ending, man, even if you know it's coming, it's still gut wrenching.
I was hoping that I was thinking because somebody had told me the ending literally years ago. So I was like, maybe that was a different movie. But yeah, So it is what it is. I finished the Fear Street trilogy. So I watched the 1979 one and the 1666 one. I liked it. I thought it was really good. On all three of them together, they're connected. So they're not individual movies.
The second one, yes. That one got pretty creepy at the end when they're at the camp and the dude's like sawing his way through it. Like, it was pretty intense, man.
But at the end of the third one, they wrap it all up.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
tell, like, I wasn't expecting that. So it almost had like a supernatural feel where you think you know what's going on and you're completely wrong. And so I really like that. Like they keep going back to the, the origin of it, which was, it was cool. They were doing prequels, but then they went back to the current time, which is 1994. But there are a couple things I do want to point out. So the two main characters are Sam and Dina. They played Carry On My
that together. Yeah.
They played Carry On My Wayward Son twice in the second one. And in the third one, when they're naming demons, Abaddon and Azazel are two of the demons that are mentioned. I don't know if you've met Abaddon yet.
I don't think
I think she shows up in season 9.
I only know Pazuzu.
You know Azazel's yellow eyes.
I do, yes.
Azazel killed Sam's mom.
That
so
you
yeah, that was fun. Braille made me watch it. I'm glad she did. It was good. I enjoyed them. They're on Netflix if anybody wants to watch them. They're only a couple years old. And the only other things I watched were Loki and Gen V, and we got Tech Night.
I have not watched any more Gen V. That's probably what I'm going to.
I got my soup juice today. Ooh, I'm drinking my soup juice for the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to end up watching it all probably at once. But Loki, though, did start. It was kind of like a mind trip, man. Like, I like my favorite thing about Loki, honestly, is their theme song. Like, I think it's the best Marvel theme song for number one.
It is pretty good. Oh, and I don't know if you can see it. I got a poster for Loki at my comic book shop today.
Yeah.
They were giving them out. Yeah.
I do like Loki a lot. It's picking up right where season 1 left off. And it's got the same vibes. I love Owen Wilson.
We got short round.
And yeah, like they have really good chemistry together. And the way they explain the time travel was really clever. And yeah, man, Loki's off to the races.
I just hope one day we get to see the two of them together on a jet ski.
Hopefully. Well, let's talk about real quick Batman City of Madness. Our friend Christian Ward, who was on the show about a month ago now to promote this comic book. Well, it's out, folks. It is out. It is in our hands. It's fucking every phenomenal bit of glorious. I could not have imagined. Like it's so good. Like if you're familiar with Christian Ward at all, his artwork is some of the most insane. If you're familiar with him, Bloodstained Teeth is a great comic book. And this book is crazy. Like
his art has a watercolor feel. Like
it does. It's very watercolory. Like Harvey Dent.
But even the way font is art.
Created Harvey Dent, man.
Oh, I love it. He's like every page is like there's not a inch of any page that there's not incredible, beautiful detail. Even the city in the background is just, I'd frame just about every page. And I love that the font when Alfred's talking, the font when Batman's talking, the font when other people, like it's all different.
Right. It's really good, man.
And the story is awesome too.
The story. So there's a hole that opens up in Gotham. This kid is looking for the cop who shot his dad, and Batman's doing his thing. It's almost even sad, like the way he wrote Alfred. Alfred's like, man, I wait up every night.
He regrets it. Yeah. What parent doesn't?
You get a very
Alfred needs to get Life 360 because that is comforting. So then he can just check where Bruce is whenever he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah. So Batman City of Madness, one of the big things I really like in this before we wrap this up and move on to Alien or news, is that Harvey Dent almost has a third personality. The way he is written and drawn is he's asking for Batman's help. The Court of Owls has something mysterious going on. They have a secret weapon that has been let loose, and it's like an owl version of Batman. Dude, this comic book had me just amped from page to page, and it's a must read. Without a doubt, probably the best comic book I have read in the year of 2023.
I think that's fair. I didn't experience a single lull.
Yeah.
Like I would say as far as like the superhero, like this was the best superhero comic I have read. How big it was year.
Too. Like something about like the size of the book.
It's giant. It's like reading a magazine. When they handed it to me, like I didn't get a board for it. I just got a bag for it.
He put 2 boards in the bag, and that's how he worked it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, they just gave me a bag. I wasn't expecting anything. Because it's thicker material on the outside too. Yeah. So it doesn't really even need anything.
No, it really doesn't. And like the art on the outside though is just gorgeous, man. The purples and the blues and the blacks that he uses are top notch. Christian Ward, man. I love that dude. So good.
I'm a sucker for eye candy. And it was like I was so stoked just to see all the art and then the story just. And he did both. He's not even on here, and we're like,
I know. We are going to have him back on. Let's go into some news real quick before we go into Alien, since we've been blabbering on about for an hour.
Yeah, because I watch more stuff in October because it's spooky season.
It does. We do. We have a lot more to talk about. So
every night I feel like I'm on the thing with a few friends. What scary movie are you watching tonight?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of movies, and I'm going to watch some more after this too. Like there's some I have on the pipe.
Gotta watch Barbarian. That's the top of my list. I start it on the list right here.
So, all right.
Yes. Oh, the Jeepers Creepers truck was at Spookala.
Oh,
was not happy about that.
No.
Let's go to news.
Go to news. You go kick us off with some news.
So an update on the strike, the writer's strike, they did have a 99% agreement on the contract. It is good for 3 years. So we'll see what happens in 3 years.
All right. We'll see you in 3 years, folks. Get all your writing in now.
As far as the actors strike, they are still on strike. They are still actively negotiating. Hopefully that is resolved.
They're supposed to be. Yeah. I would be surprised if within the next week they don't have a deal made.
I know. And like we have still been talking stuff, but we haven't been talking it or posting stuff to the level that we want to in support of
or used to
such strike. Yeah. Right. I have literally in my notes like 10 different TikTok ideas from shows that are still active because we have done older shows and older movies, but I don't even know if we're allowed to do that. We don't really know, but we're not part of the Actors Guild. We're just trying to be supportive. So hopefully that ends soon and we can do a whole episode on Ahsoka, a whole episode on Loki, a whole episode on the Marvels. Please, God, let it be done by the Marvels.
Yeah.
So other than that, so the writers for Drew Barrymore's show have declined returning because she chose to continue the show without them during the strike. It looks like Jon Bernthal will be joining Daredevil Born Again. However, shortly after that news came out, we got other news about Daredevil.
They didn't scrap it, but they scrapped it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So basically, they are starting from scratch. They fired the entire writer's room. They did pretty much everything. They're starting from scratch. I don't have a problem with that.
If it was going to be a legal show, I'm okay with that because
that's the word. So the word they were essentially, it was a legal drama. He doesn't even suit up till episode 4. So they are wiping it clean. Vincent D'Onofrio was like, if you don't think that there is straight up things that are continuously progressing through a TV show's life, then you'd be wrong. And we're getting it right. And I fully agree with that, man. Go ahead. I hope this means Karen Page and Foggy Nelson are brought back. And I hope this means Vanessa's brought back as well, because they were like, it doesn't have the Netflix vibe. So bring those characters back. I really hope they do.
Jessica Ritter, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
I said Jessica Ritter, Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica Jones.
I know who you meant. But no, I hope I'm fine. It's going to get delayed. But again,
bring back Patsy. She was awesome.
Yeah. I'm really cool with it, man. I really am. So they're going to start from scratch, and then they're going to start taking more time.
Bring back Iron Fist.
They're going to be, they're taking more time with all of their sports. Jesus Christ. I'm thinking about hockey.
Football
hockey just
season.
started. That too.
Yeah, preseason for basketball's just started.
Everything just started. So I'm thinking about sports, but no, they're going to start taking their more time with their shows, and that's what we've been asking for. So I'm not going to complain. Yeah,
no, when I heard it was a legal drama, that I'm not fond of. I was fine with She-Hulk being a legal show because it was the superhuman division. So that's very different. There's not precedent for that. That's totally different. But I am glad if they're doing that. I do feel a little bit bad for anybody who was working on it. Like, imagine if you got this job and you're like, yes, I'm working on Daredevil. And then they're like, just
you're fired.
Yeah. It's like everybody who worked on the Batgirl movie. It's like, oh, so that hurts a little, but
it does, but I get it. Look, I'm cool. You know, it's whatever. It is what it is.
Just make the next Netflix shows canon.
I just hope this means She-Hulk too and all of that stuff. Like, let's make some second seasons, please.
Yeah, I'm fine if they don't do second seasons if they properly feed into the movies, because it is still all about the universe as a whole. I want more Moon Knight. Man.
God, I just want more She-Hulk. You know, I'm a simp for She-Hulk.
I do.
What, choke me so
you got a thing with choking. I know you want to be force choked, Hulk choked. I get it.
Choked, which is interesting. So I don't know why that's my go-to joke. Like, oh, I gotta
maybe Gary will do it on your anniversary. You just gotta ask. I was
like choked as a punishment as a kid, and for some reason, I got repressed.
Like Homer Simpson choked. Like you little.
My parents hated me, and they secretly choked me when they were mad at me, and as a baby. And now that's like a repressed.
I think you deserve to be punished.
And now, anytime I see an attractive girl, I'm like, please choke me. What are we talking about here?
I don't know. You should be talking about this with your therapist.
Well, maybe do I need therapy? No, that costs money. That's why I started a podcast.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we get it all out here. Okay, next Spookala, because I did say I was just at that, will be April 5th to 7th. I did not do the best with sticking around on that,
Why
but if you
April,
I think they do it twice a year. For me personally, I love that it was at Halloween time.
Dude, October. What are you doing?
I don't know.
It's like releasing Haunted Mansion in August. Who would do such a thing?
I know. Didn't they release Hocus Pocus in like July?
Probably.
I think
what are we doing?
The first one. It was a really cool con, though. They did a really good job. There was a great amount of characters. It wasn't overly packed by any means, maybe because it's twice a year. So it was very easy to walk around and shop. The shopping was fantastic because it was all a little extra spooky, but they didn't have good beer. So the group I was with wanted to leave almost immediately after we were done shopping.
For shame. But you met Vanessa Marshall. Our friend Vanessa Marshall, aka Harrison Dula,
she was so sweet.
One who started and led the rebellion in Star Wars. No big deal.
So I walked up to her with Tim and I was like, should I get a picture? So it's $60 to get a picture with her or $40 to get a signature. And you could buy like a lithograph for $20.
Vanessa, come on. I thought we were friends though.
Well, it was also a line. What was she supposed to do? Like just be like, oh, let me just take a picture because I know you. And then like, so I get that there's rules and
pimp our podcast out a little bit. Come on, Vanessa. Jeez.
But before I left the house, Josh is like, please don't spend money taking pictures with people you don't know. I mean, we do know her, but
technically we know her. So it's not a stranger.
I did buy the lithograph and have her sign it. And it looks so good in this frame here.
It does. So, you know, whatever, Josh.
She was so sweet. And she's like, oh, I got your DM. And, you know, she knew, obviously she remembered us. And it was nice having Tim there too. Here's your Stanley cameo. Because Tim was like, oh, that episode was so good. But Timothy, you still need to watch Rebels. He has not seen Rebels.
Look, I'll give him a pass because he was pimping us out. So I'm cool with it. But watch Rebels. Yes. You get a pass this week, Timothy.
Good Omens. So it has not been confirmed for season 3. However, Neil Gaiman has said that he is already working on it. I think there's things they can't do right now because of the script. I know there was I had a lot of feelings at the end of season 2, and Carlos, who is active in our Discord, we have very similar feelings about the ending of Supernatural and Good Omens tied together. And I told him I wanted to give you a warning, but it would have ruined things. He's like, I wish you had. So this is not over though. So this is still going. So I'm hoping that season 3 is going to make both of us feel better. We don't have anything in stone yet, but hopefully that is coming. City of Madness, the second issue. Christian Ward did tweet out that it will be out December 12th. So we are going to have to wait.
I got to wait till December for this. Come on, Christian. Hopefully by then DC has granted us access. So
I still need this one in actual print copy.
Oh, I'm getting it in print without a doubt.
Any Monk fans out there? I've never seen Monk, but I've heard it's good. I only know the actor from the show Wings.
Personally, no.
But they're doing a movie to wrap up Monk completely on December 8th on Peacock. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling will be teaming up again for Ocean's 11 prequel. I believe so, but they're bringing everything back. I think Frasier's coming back.
Okay, Frasier did come back and people are disappointed. It wasn't good. However, you're telling me Monk's going to get a movie to wrap it up and I'm still can't get Santa Clarita Diet or any of that shit to wrap it up? Like, come on. What are we doing, man?
I don't know. But yeah,
we're good.
And here's your Disney news. As of January 9th, you will be able to park hop whenever the fuck you want. You don't have to wait till 2 o'clock anymore.
Finally.
But prices are going up again. So
of course they are.
I know. And I need to renew this week. Fucking bastards. Boy.
I have Busch Gardens season passes. I feel like somebody now. No big deal.
Woohoo. We're going to get some more Busch Gardens access. Is Dratchen Fire still there?
I don't know. I did the Apollo's Chariots. I did the Alpen guy. I have to get kind of drunk to do roller coasters. So I don't really know.
That sounds like the worst time to do roller coasters.
No, it sounds like the best time because then I'm not thinking about all of that stuff and going upside down. I have to get So I went to Hollow Scream. I got drunk. I did it. I was great. I went back that one day with Carrie and then I went on the roller coaster. And I was like, oh, fuck this. So I've determined I got to drink a little bit and they weren't selling beers at 12 o'clock or whenever they opened.
They're Busch Gardens.
I don't care. You better start selling beer.
Anheuser-Busch. They should be having beer all day.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I got one piece of news for everybody out there. Scott Snyder, the man behind Court of Owls, the man behind Noctera, the man doing big things for Comixology.
Oh, Noctera.
Is teaming up with Tom Hardy. Yes, that Tom Hardy to write Arcbound, which will be a 12-issue series along with creators Frank Thierry and Ryan Smallman. The 12-issue series will follow a future where Earth is a barren wasteland, and Kai, who is a resolute mediator captain, must maintain Xenotech's lifeline to Chromium. Now, absolutely insane. First and foremost, because if Scott Snyder's doing it, you know it's going to be good. He's one of the best comic book creators out there in the business. Number 2, Tom fucking Hardy, folks. Need I say more?
I love that he said he had to wait for the day and he showed the little FaceTime.
Yeah, he was doing a FaceTime. Yeah. Like, could you imagine FaceTime? You write comic books for a living. A lot of these people never in their lives would probably, think that they're on FaceTime with Tom Hardy. Now Tom Hardy's writing a comic book with you. Like, it's the coolest thing ever, man.
Well, and I think Scott Snyder was the one that went on Sean's podcast, Life Caption podcast, which he's on hiatus at the moment.
That, and he did Ken's ODPH podcast. Yep.
But we found out I was listening to the one that when he was on with Sean, it was shortly before we went on Sean's podcast, and I'm on the way to Disney listening to this podcast and found out Scott Snyder used to be a cast member and he was Pluto.
Yeah. So he's my dream guest for the show, if I'm going to be honest. Maybe I can get him on for the 200th episode, but
that would be fun. He seemed like such a cool dude, and I would talk to him about Disney. I was reading Noctera and it hasn't shown up in my box in a while, and I think I need to talk to my comic book shop about that. I haven't gotten it in a few months.
It's good, folks. It's good. All right. You've heard us ramble on for a bit. Let's go and switch gears. Let's go talk Alien, the 1979 film starring Sigourney Weaver. It put her on the map. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back, folks. Like I said, we're about to talk some Alien. And because this episode has just been straight fire, or maybe it's because we've been drinking, we got a second beer of the week for you this week. My beer is going to be Persiccone Witch from Tradition Brewing. It is a pumpkin ale brewed out of Newport News, Virginia. And while not as well known, Jamestown suffered its own issues with witchcraft. It is a widely regarded truth that the potions these witches brewed were actually early forms of beer. Recently uncovered documents found amongst the belongings of known witches revealed a beer recipe so good that it was immediately covered up by prohibitionist historians. Only known for her Persiccone nature, and without the recipe intact, we created this tribute to the witch who made the greatest potion ever brewed. It's got cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, and squash. It's also a wheat pale ale, got some rolled oats in it, comes in at 5.8%. Yeah, man, it's a really good beer. Is that
story true?
It's on the can, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's true, because this is not really the first.
Cool. I want to know more about that. This is actually
the second Virginia beer that I have found. There was another beer. I can't remember who it was from, but there was a beer that I found that was an homage. It was named after the last living witch from this whole era and whatnot. I'll have to find it again. I saw it at Total Wine, but it was a dedication to this witch. So yeah, I would assume so, man. And I went to the Jamestown settlement recently, and pretty cool. I'm gonna go trick or treating there with the kids actually next Friday.
Nice. That's really cool. The whole witch stuff. I mean, like, it's truly sad. It's just
sad and fascinating.
Terrible. Yes, 100% sad and fascinating. Uh-oh. Logan just walked in. Nope. And he's out. So I opened a family business beer because I wasn't anticipating opening a second one tonight. And every time I open one of the Hamilton pails, it explodes.
Oh, that happened to me this weekend with one of my precarious beers. The sour that I sent you, it exploded everywhere.
This is a pale ale. I don't know if they overcarbonated it before they sent it to Tabor. I don't have napkins, so I literally good thing I have my handy dandy notepad here today for making all my lists, because it just absorbed all the liquid.
You lost your list to time.
No, I used a fresh one. I wasn't going to risk my list. So I want to start a new segment on here, how we have our Stanley cameo for Tim. We are going to start a 4 degrees of supernatural.
Oh, she hasn't even told me this. This is crazy.
No. So I wanted a genuine reaction, much like one of the fun facts we're going to get in today's episode. So I am drinking a family business beer. They've been on Tabor, so I've been grabbing as much as I can. I did get the soup juice. We're going to save that for when we can talk Gen V. And I got to get one to Matt before we do that as well. So I've had this one on here. It's a great pale ale. Honestly, if a brewery locally did it, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But just drinking family business just makes me so genuinely happy, just because it's family business. So that's what I'm drinking. And I will tell you our 4 degrees of supernatural when we get there.
All right. Well, why don't you kick us off with Alien 1979?
So This movie is starring Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. She doesn't really need any explaining as to who she is. She definitely had the most successful career following this movie. Then we have Tom Skerritt as Dallas.
Wait, isn't Bill Paxton in this one?
No.
Oh, he's in Aliens. My bad.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Spoilers.
Oops, sorry.
So then we have Tom Skerritt as Dallas. He has been in a ton of random stuff. You go to his IMDb and you're like, that's what he's from. That's what he's from. That's what he's from.
You always love that when you're like, I've seen him in something or seen her in something, and you look and it's just so many random ass TV shows like Law and Order.
But you always know there's that one thing that you're thinking of them from.
And you're like, oh.
But when you watch this and they're younger, the one thing I knew him from was The Other Sister. He plays the father of I can't remember the actress's name. Have you ever seen that movie? They're like both like two special needs kids and they like fall in love and get married. It's a really sweet story. But he plays the father. And that's what I remembered him as. The guy from Gone in 60 Seconds, Giovanni, whatever is the guy.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And his sisters from Christmas Vacation. I got no names for you. All right. So John Hurt is Kane. He's the one who infamously births the alien. He's actually the original doctor or the war doctor, not the first doctor, the war doctor. He's also Ollivander in Harry Potter, who I know who that is because of Ollivanders at Universal. So he's got to have something to do with wands. He sells wands. I'm guessing he has to, right?
He does. Yes.
Okay. He's in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, and he's in a bunch of other roles. Many of them are, quote, geekish. Then we have Veronica Cartwright as Ambert. She is been in a lot of random stuff. However, here's your 4 degrees of Supernatural. She's in Supernatural.
Ooh, okay.
So you have not met Lily Sunder yet. For those of you who have seen Supernatural, she's the one that, quote, studies angels, end quote. She plays the older version of Lily Sunder in one of the last seasons. I think she's in the 14th season. Then we have Harry Dean Stanton as Brett. He was a security guard in Avengers and a ton of other stuff. And then we have Ian Holm as Ash from Lord of the Rings. And we have Yaphet Kotto as Parker, and he has also been in a ton of random stuff. So that is your general information. If you want to kick us off with the recap.
Let's dive into the recap, folks. So while in space in the year 2122, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is woken from cryosleep while only halfway through their trip because their ship is getting a distress call from an alien vessel, which actually turns out to be a warning. They realize that a little too late. Sigourney Weaver actually figured it out. However, they don't listen to her. While half the crew was already investigating the alien craft, however,
who's going to listen to the woman?
Yes. While investigating.
So just side note, notepads do not clean up beer very well.
Tough paper. Good for nothing. Well, while investigating, one of the guys encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship. An organism from inside an egg leaps out and attaches itself to one of the crew, causing him to fall into a coma with the alien attached to his face. Pretty much something out of Doctor Who, which, funny enough, this was actually the actor that played the War Doctor. So as they continue and they try to cut off the alien, ignoring protocol, and Ripley tries to quarantine him.
She's like, just quarantine. And they're like, fuck you, Ripley.
Pretty much. They should have listened to her. Again, women, they pretty much always right. It leaves acid that cuts through layers of the ship, which means they really can't do too much. Kane then awakens without the alien on his face. He thinks he's fine. Guessed what?
He's hungry because he's pregnant.
To have a last meal before going back to cryosleep for the last half of the journey. That's when Kane bursts a very fast little alien right out of his abdomen.
Sadly.
One of the gnarliest things ever. Yeah. He did not sing. He didn't have a cane. Didn't have a hat. That little bugger just hauled ass all around that ship. That's when we discover one of the crew is a robot, and he lets them all know that the mission was actually to collect and research alien stuff. The humans mean nothing. Shit got real. The alien grows faster. That weird, it just grows faster than that weird kid out of Smallville, man. Or Dean Winchester's Amazon daughter, Emma. Of course, he starts attacking and killing the whole ship just when Ripley thinks her and the cat are safe. Dun, dun, dun. She decides to undress and show off that booty and them white granny panties.
Why were her panties like under her ass?
I don't know. It's like,
I don't know.
Anyways, however, guess what? The alien got on her ship. Guess what she has to do?
Did not see that coming.
She makes it while singing a song that actually cost the movie quite a bit of money to get rights to, and thus births the legend of Sigourney Weaver and probably our very first woman action hero who was one of the most badass ones in cinema history.
No, this was after Star Wars, though.
This was actually also after Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay. But no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Leia, Carrie Fisher is the first.
All right. I'll give you Carrie Fisher as the first one. But Sigourney Weaver action.
No, she's up there.
Okay. But Carrie Fisher was in a space opera. This is straight up like horror, thriller, action.
Okay.
Sci-fi. Well, I don't know. It depends how you categorize them, I guess. I'll give it to you.
I did think it was funny when the guy's like, he's a robot, because like nobody says robot anymore. You would say android or, something like that. But I feel like the calling it a robot right away, like aged it.
I am a robot.
Right.
Boobop, boobop.
Grandma's voice.
Or SpongeBob, like when, yeah. Be boobop, play. I want to hear that song again. But
I want to have sex with you.
This is
not Grandma's
creepy, man. Like I will. Yes, it is. Or
yeah.
This movie's good, man. This is a very classic thriller horror movie that it ages very well, man. Like
it's slow though.
It is very much a slow burn. If you're going in expecting seeing aliens right off the bat and it's just like an hour and a half, 2 hours of nonstop alien action, the aliens don't show up till over halfway in the movie.
Well, you kind of want that though. That's scarier, like Jaws. You don't want to show the monster right away.
Well, they're very much being stalked and hunted. Yeah, like
yeah,
that's the point, man. You don't want to show. This is more of a don't show, don't tell, kind of like build the suspense, because that's what you need in this movie.
Yeah. No, it was good. I just felt like it was very slow, and I didn't know I didn't know anything going into it. So I looked up more stuff for this podcast, and I didn't realize like half the episodes or half the movies are prequels to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hit us with your fun facts, because you bring the fun facts.
Do bring the fun facts. So the original name was going to be Star Beast, which is stupid. So I'm glad they changed that.
Thank God.
The popularity of Star Wars got Alien their green light. Everyone was nervous to sign them beforehand, which makes sense. You want like a sci-fi whatever in space. Just you never know how that's going to go. A Dutch customs official once stopped Geiger, who is the guy who basically created like the idea for the aliens. He did the artwork and whatnot, because they thought his paintings were photographs and they were deeply disturbed. So this guy's paintings were so freaking realistic that they're like, hold on, what is this? The artist said he was annoyed, and he wrote, quote, "Where on earth did they think I could have photographed my subjects?" End quote. He responded, quote, "In hell, perhaps," end quote. People kept passing out in the spacesuits while they were recording. So they had a nurse on set. Yeah. And you can even see them sweating in them, but I guess that adds to
the fear,
nervousness.
Everything, yeah.
Eventually they did fix the issue in the future, because they actually had like kids in the suit. So you can't really have kids pass out. So to get Jones the cat to react fearfully to the descending alien, a German shepherd was placed in front of the cat with a screen between the two. So the cat would see it like immediately. And the screen was then suddenly removed to make the cat hiss. Yeah. That cat looked like Goose or Chewie in the comics. Yeah. And I kind of wonder, like, was that intentional that it looks like him? So during early development,
actually, it might have been because Marvel owns the Alien comic books and Predator. Like Marvel's the one that's putting out those Alien comic books.
I mean, and they're both space cats. I feel like that would be a fun nod.
That's what I'm saying.
So during early development, Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett ran into a writing impasse while trying to work out how the alien would get aboard the ship. So I thought this one was actually pretty interesting and kind of cool, especially for in the 70s. So Shusett came up with the idea that the alien has sex with one of them, and that eventually that idea eventually developed into a space hugger concept. Hey, we're not talking about jizz this week. So this method of reproduction via implantation was deliberately intended to invoke images of male rape and impregnation. So both writers were like adamantly like, this is what we're doing with the face hugger victim, and he has to be a man. They didn't want it to be a woman because they wanted men. Like if it was a woman, they'd be like, oh, it would feel different, because that makes sense. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. That. So they also wanted to avoid the horror cliche of women be depicted as the easy first target. And second, because they felt that making a female the casualty of a symbolic rape felt inappropriate. And third, they wanted to make the male viewers feel even more uncomfortable with this gender reversal.
This first and foremost, like that's smart. That's really good. And that's probably what makes this entire franchise, to be honest with you, because
I mean, that's the most I've seen that scene before and I hadn't seen the movie.
And not to mention, like, Ripley's one of the most iconic heroes, quote unquote, if you want to look at it from a science fiction standpoint. Like, when you think of like badass women in cinema, Ripley is Sigourney Weaver. She's shown right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really smart.
Did you know the alien slime was KY jelly? Oh. Do you want to take any of these fun facts?
Yes. So the inside of the alien eggs, as seen by Kane, was actually composed of real organic material. Sir Ridley Scott used fresh cattle hearts and stomachs that were obtained from a local butchery. The egg tube of the facehugger was sheep intestine.
That's so gross.
You don't got to get me to act about horror when that stuff's going in my throat. Blech. Some of the disgust when the alien popped out of Kane's chest was genuine. The actors didn't know how much was going to go everywhere. Again, when you get like body horror like this, like that's another iconic. Alien has so many iconic things happen. Like when you think The Thing is another good one because The Thing also depicts.
Do I need to add that to my list?
Oh yeah, you do.
I've never seen it. The Thing.
The Thing is with Kurt Russell, very, very, because it depicts kind of stuff really well too. And man, like it's visceral almost when it just tears out of your you see it crawling in your abdomen, then it just rips them wide open. Out comes it's very visceral and very raw. And that's when
you see that when you're pregnant too. I'm sure you've seen that. Like you can literally see like an elbow across.
Yeah, right. You just see like a hand creepy. Come up and you're like, what the fuck?
It's like this sci-fi horror stuff. All these guys are probably dads and they've seen this shit.
Right. They're like, holy, what would be creepier? Man, when I was with my wife, I saw a fucking face up against her belly. That shit was crazy.
It is crazy. And they look creepy in the ultrasound too.
That's very true. So Balaji Badejo was the alien. He was in a pub in London when a casting agent spotted him and immediately called an alien associate producer, Ivor Powell, because they had been struggling to find somebody tall and skinny enough. Badejo was lanky, not Bendejo, but Badejo was lanky and 6'10". He took mime classes to get the alien motions down and sat on a custom swing in between takes because he could not sit in chairs with the tail. Again, folks, this is where CGI fails and practical effects thrives because the alien, the way the movements, practical is the way to go. I will scream it till I die. Lead singer of The Who, Roger Daltrey, was actually experimenting with lasers right next to the studio where Alien was shooting, and he graciously lent his equipment out to Ridley Scott. And the insides of the android were a combination of milk, caviar, pasta, and glass marbles. So, Lauren, being that this was your very first time watching the movie Alien, I gotta know, man, what are your thoughts?
It was good. I get why it's a classic, but I do think that it was slow. And I do think if the exact same thing came out today, it wouldn't do as well. I'm curious to dive into the rest of the universe, but I'm not overly eager to at the same time. So there were a couple things that came up. For one, the smoking on the ship. That ages the shit out of the movie right away.
It really does.
I always love watching futuristic, depictions of things and how much they get right and how much they get wrong. I know I've even said that on here before. Back to the Future 2 is a great one. There is so many things that are like, that is ridiculous. We don't have flying cars, but also do you really think we're still doing this? Like, that's so primitive. So it's fun to see that. When that countdown going down was happening, I kept thinking my Roomba was going off. I was like, is the vacuum on the thing? Is the vacuum stuck somewhere? What's going on with the vacuum? There were some cheesy things like that. The headsets that the guys were wearing in the movie.
Yeah.
Kaylee had that exact same plastic headset when she pretended to be Hannah Montana, and it didn't work. It was fake.
Okay, Hannah Montana, just an FYI, I will forever go to my grave. She's Dolly Parton, if Dolly Parton had a TV show.
Well, she's Dolly Parton's goddaughter.
That's true. Well, that's very true. And that's why I think they made Hannah Montana, because Dolly Parton wears wigs. Anyways, that's your Dolly Parton fun fact.
I'm all for the Dolly Parton fun facts.
So when she goes out in public, she doesn't have her wigs and stuff on. So
people don't recognize her.
And her husband's like a very big antiquer. So she goes to like those antique shows and people don't know it's her because she doesn't have like her wig and her makeup and stuff. It's really crazy. Interesting.
It's like Kiss. They would go out and not get recognized. Yeah.
Except for Dolly Parton's actually a good human being.
So I don't remember which movie came out in the 90s that created the toys again, but I do remember my brother had this toy where like he sucked up water and then you squeezed his head and he spit out water. And
Oh,
I
I
just remember
vaguely know what you're
Brandon,
talking about.
it was a bath toy, but I remember Brandon playing with that in the tub. So I just thought that was funny. There was a comment we go safe to assume it isn't a zombie. I was like, what a fucking dick. It was like they were just being so mean to her and just like we died and came back, whatever it was. Uh, you did notice with Ash, like that wasn't the best technology where it was like very clearly fake. And then they literally cut the scene. Like my daughter would do better
jarring,
with her
like
iPad.
A very jarring cut. Yeah.
Because they needed to move the head to have it be the real person with his head through something. So yeah, that wasn't the best. Oh, and the last comment I have written down is I thought it was hilarious when I found out this movie was 2122 and their screens are still not flat.
Oh yeah, it's funny looking like futuristic stuff and thinking of where we're at now with technology versus where they thought they would be with technology. It's one of my favorite things to look into history. But
they say Star Trek was pretty good.
Yeah,
well, Star Trek and Star Wars had iPads.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, Star Trek
had holograms of Tupac out there somewhere. So,
well, no, we don't. Tupac's still alive.
That's true. Well, they just arrested his alleged murder.
I saw that. How crazy is that shit?
Anyways, I want to. What is your overall rating for this movie?
Oof. For 1979, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Ooh, only a 7. All right, this is.
I didn't love it.
All right.
One thing I said that really obnoxiously. I didn't mean to whine like that. One thing I did.
I'm almost shocked by that.
Yeah, I really didn't love it. I found it was. I'm all for building suspense. Like I really like Jaws and like the not showing the killer right away kind of thing. But I just felt like it was a little too slow where it didn't need to be slow. But maybe some of it with like this being a futuristic movie and being very obviously an older movie, maybe that might have taken some of it away.
That's true.
But like I'm not against watching the other movies to make. Well,
the only one you really need to watch is Aliens in 1986, which I'm surprised it took that long to make a sequel to. Honestly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know we were talking about this in the Discord. Sigourney Weaver, until recently, was in the Great Movie Ride at Hollywood Studios with a scene from Alien. And I thought it was kind of funny that has since closed for the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railroad or whatever. But Sigourney Weaver is in Avatar, and now you can go to Animal Kingdom, and they have this whole new amazing ride.
She's in some really big Ghostbusters, Alien, Avatar.
Oh yeah. But she goes from fighting aliens to becoming an alien from one Disney park to another.
And Zool.
But I love her in Ghostbusters.
I do too. Honestly, Ghostbusters. Man, we have to talk.
And then her baby has a Winnie the Pooh onesie in the second one.
Yeah. Man, I love Sigourney Weaver. I love this movie. I think I give it about an 8.5 out of 10 if I had to really rate it like that, personally speaking, because there's a lot of things in this movie that I liked. It's body horror, which grosses me out personally. When a horror movie, most things don't bother me, but if kids die, that's one. Body horror is another for some reason. Like, I don't know what it is about just feeling the pain of, oh man, like anything happening, like a body horror, that really gets me. And then just like the alien stalking as prey throughout the entire movie, it's pretty.
So it's the humans being prey is always
another
a weird one.
Scary aspect too, almost, because humans are top of the food chain most of the time, and
right.
So you got this alien, and it's got it's just the alien looks great. It ages well, practical effects again. Yeah, I like this movie. And if you want to actually watch all these in chronological order, I'll lay it out for you folks. Alien in 1979. Aliens in 1986.
This is release date order. Then we'll do chronological order.
Sorry, release date order. Then you have Alien to the Third Power in 1992. In Resurrection, 1997. Alien versus Predator, 2004. Alien versus Predator Requiem, 2007. Prometheus, 2012. Alien Covenant, 2017. I, honest to God, cannot believe that those movies came out that fucking long ago. Because I swear to you, Alien versus Predator Requiem literally came out in like 2014. Apparently not.
When I was looking him up, I didn't realize like Michael Fassbender is in some of the number ones. There's a lot of people in these. And Paul Reiser is in the 1986
Danny McBride is in Covenant, I think it was.
Is he funny? I don't know. I've ever seen him in anything not funny.
All right. So let's talk about these last two, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. They are not good movies. At least Alien versus Predator, any of those have some redeeming qualities. You got the Predator facing off against the alien. Prometheus, they explore more of the robotic, like this is the creator aspect. It's
Why
not
is
really about the alien itself.
Why is it named Prometheus? Does it have anything to do with like
This is
the
supposed
god
to be the
Prometheus?
one that like the creator created these aliens and life and all this shit. Like they try to get too philosophical with it. It was stupid.
So does it have anything to do with like the mythology of Prometheus?
No. And not really, no. And then Alien Covenant has Michael Fassbender in it, and this is the one with Danny McBride as well. And
it looked like Michael Fassbender was in more than one, or just
he was in
one?
Prometheus as well. Yeah, he's David. I want to say
love
it is
him
the robot.
Magneto.
It's
he's a robot.
He's the robot. Garbage. Straight garbage. Both of those movies are ass. Do not watch. Do not.
So I didn't know if the third one was called Alien 3 or Alien to the Third Power, but everything I saw, it was Alien with a tiny 3. Like,
so here's the problem. They introduced a character called Newt. And Newt's a badass. Newt's a fan favorite. Spoiler alert. They kill Newt in between films with no explanation. Like they leave it very much like Newt's gonna be a big part going forward, and then the next one, Newt's gone. Move on. It's crazy. It's a very big black eye to the Alien franchise. And I
wonder why they did that.
I don't know, man.
Maybe they just didn't know what to do with Newt.
The actress who played Newt just disappeared from making films after her movie, so you don't see her again. It was a personal choice kind of deal. I respect it. And if you actually want to watch these movies in chronological order, you get Alien versus Predator, Alien versus Predator Requiem, Prometheus, and then you get Alien Covenant, Aliens 3, Alien Resurrection. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's what you got. So I'm glad Lauren finally watched it. I love it. I love this movie. It's one that I always have an affinity for. Definitely watch it if you haven't for some reason, but if you haven't, I'd be surprised. Number one. Number two, why are you still here?
You don't want to watch it, and we capped it all up for you, wrapped it up for you. Yeah. You don't have to watch The Mist either.
I also like love in these movies. I don't love, but it's also very interesting in these old movies where they're just like, "Shut up, woman! What are you even doing here at this point? Why are you on this mission?"
Thing, and when this is like a movie that's supposed to be in the future, I'm like, have we like? And the smoking
the more
right
things
away.
change, the more things stay the same. Like, no, okay, first of all, Ripley's the only survivor and she saves everybody and is the most badass character in this movie. And just there's no progressiveness to it at all. I don't care that's 1979. It's like, come on.
They did do. So I did also read that when the script was written, all the characters could be guys or girls. Like they didn't specify. They were all written gender neutral. They had wanted to do like, have them casually hooking up. And they're like, there's really no point to the story to have them casually hook up. Much like the couple in The Mist in the book, there was no point to that.
In horror movies, it's like a trope too of just like people having
sex. Then you're going to die. Like, you're marked for death.
Yeah. Oh, dude, as soon as you start getting that booty, you're dead.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
It's so funny because I've been watching so much horror these last few weeks because it's October. And even with Supernatural, all these people hear like something in the bushes and they turn around and they're like, hello. I hear something in the bushes.
Running, man.
Oh no, it's a lizard. It's a raccoon. It's a cat. That's
what you think.
A fucking squirrel.
Jason with his stupid machete.
But do you stop and turn around and go hello every time? I always hear. I can't walk from my car to my front door without hearing something in the bushes.
If I hear something in the bushes, I have lizards here, I guess.
Day.
No.
Yes. And those lizards are suicidal. As soon as they see you walking, they run out.
Woods. Again.
But these people are doing it when they're taking the garbage out.
I run to the garbage at night. Psh, gone. Come on, man. I'll fuck with that stuff. All right.
I don't know. I feel like not being scared of noises in the bushes, maybe it saved my life because I don't stick around long enough to be murdered.
You're
I just
right. The ghost
move my merry ass along.
She's really badass. All right. Well, we're going to leave her alone and go after somebody.
I always have salt in my pocket. So my light flickered. I would like turn on the light earlier today in the hallway and it flickered. And it made
slasher.
It made me giggle. Like, I don't know. That stuff makes me happy. Oh, the light flickered. It probably just needs a new bulb soon, but maybe we have a ghost. That's exciting.
There's a ghost. Quick. Well, folks.
That was a good movie last year. We have a ghost.
Yes, we did the thing. We talked Alien. Maybe we'll talk The Thing. Maybe we'll talk another one of those old.
We're gonna do Barbarian next week.
We'll probably we'll do Barbarian next week. And then you're going to catch us on For Nerds by Nerds, where next week we are going to sit down and record with our man Josh. We are going to talk about Talk to Me on his show. And then maybe we'll wrap this whole horror month up talking some Thing, which is regarded as arguably the greatest horror movie ever made. One of the top ones.
All right.
By the way, I also haven't watched any Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers yet for this Halloween season.
And this Friday's, which is now in the past, Friday the 13th. Yes. I'll do stuff on the socials since we didn't do a proper episode.
I'll have some stuff out on the socials. Go check it. I've probably added, or I've sent to Lauren video stuff of the Nightmare Richmond where I was attending as press. Check it out. Please subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thank you. If you have lasted this long, we have gotten some buffoonery going. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe, share with a friend, all of that good stuff. Hang out with us next week. We are going to talk about Barbarian. That's right. Check out that. We'll see you soon, folks. Cheers.